Hello children, welcome to your grade 4 environmental science video. In our last tutorial video, we completed our chapter number 2 adaptations in plants where we completed the following topics: adaptation in plants, aquatic plants, terrestrial or land plants, insectivorous plants, and lastly we learned about plants of the grass family. Today we will start with our chapter number 3, animals growing in numbers. So in this chapter students, we will learn about the reason why animals reproduce. The next is the different ways by which animals reproduce, care given by animals to their young ones, and the life cycle of frog, butterfly, cockroach and grasshopper. So let's start, my dear students. For life to go on, each living thing should leave behind its own kind. It means for life, the continuation of life, each living thing needs to leave behind its own kind of living things. The process of producing one's own kind is called reproduction. I repeat, the process of producing one's own kind is called reproduction. Reproduction helps in the continuity of a kind or race. All living things have the ability to reproduce. Let's learn about it in little detail. Now you must be wondering, what is reproduction? So students, each living thing produces more of its own kind by either laying eggs or giving birth to young ones. Okay? This is called reproduction actually. All birds reproduce by laying eggs by some parent animals to keep them warm is called incubation. Now we are going to learn about different ways of reproduction, the different ways by which animals reproduce. So students, there are two ways in which animals reproduce. The first one is by laying eggs. You can see here. For examples, birds, fish, frogs, insects, they lay eggs. The second way of reproduction is by giving birth to young ones. The examples for this is dog, cat, man and etc. Now here is something important for you. Duck-billed platypus and spiny anteater are mammals, but they lay eggs. So students, these two animals are mammals, but still they lay eggs. These animals you will find in Australian coastal forest basically. Now let's start with our next topic, animals that give birth to babies. Animals that give to young ones and suckle them are called mammals. So students, animals, those who give birth to young ones and feed them are called mammals. Their bodies are covered with hair. These animals carry their young ones within their bodies till they are fully developed to be born. For example, man, dog, rabbit, horse, goat, etc. Here is one more example you can see here, horse with colt. Colt means baby horse. So this is one example given here, children. Now let's learn about how mammals care for their young ones. Mammals take care of their babies for a long time. Usually the mother cares for the young. So children, mammals, they take care for their babies for a long time, and the mother, usually mother takes care for their little one, for their young one. The mother feeds the babies, cleans them and keeps them warm. The mother provides food to the babies, cleans them and keep them warm. As they grow older, the mother teaches them to look for food and live on their own. As they grow older, the mother hare teaches them to look for the food, how to survive, and how to live on their own. The father also helps in some ways. He hunts for food and guards the young one, protect the little one. Due to this care, the bond between parents and young ones is strong. So now let's learn about our first type, how animals reproduce. Animals that lay eggs. In birds, insects, frogs, turtles, etc., the young ones hatch out from eggs. Birds. How do they hatch? Let's see. Birds lay eggs. An egg has a hard protective shell. So you can see here, students, this is the egg shell, which is a hard protective shell of the egg. It contains a yellow yolk, which provides food to the chick growing inside it. So this is the yellow yolk, you can see here. This is the source of food for the chick which is growing inside it. The growing chick is called an embryo. The yolk is surrounded by a white albumin. This is the white albumin which is surrounded around this yellow yolk. This is the white liquid kind of, which protects the growing chick. This albumin, this white liquid, it protects the growing chick. The parent bird sits on the egg to keep it warm. The embryo develops into a chick only when the egg is kept warm. The chick breaks the shell and comes out when it has grown. This is called hatching. So this is how the birds hatch and they grow under this egg. And this is the gut section of an egg, students. I hope you have understood this part. So here you can see here, this is the life cycle of a hen, where the baby chick hatches out and then it grows up, then it becomes adult hen, and then again it lays eggs, and in this way this life cycle of the hen goes on. Now you can see here various stages of development from an embryo to a mature adult is called the life cycle of an animal. Birds that lay eggs, examples are sparrow, duck, hen, and many more are there also. Here we have an activity, students. Let's see what it is. Take an egg and a bowl. You have to take an egg and a bowl with the help of a knife or the handle of the spoon. Any of the option you can go for. Gently crack the egg shell. The hard shell of the egg you have to crack. Then what you have to do is pour the contents, whatever is there inside the egg, carefully into the bowl. You will be able to see the yolk and albumin. The yellow part is yolk and the white liquid you will be able to see in the bowl is albumin. What you crack is the egg shell. Perform this activity and enjoy this. Now we are going to learn how amphibians and reptiles reproduce. So the first point is life cycle of frogs. So let's begin with it. Frogs begin life as sticky eggs. So the life of frog begin as a sticky egg, you can see here. The mother frog lays around 1,000 eggs in water at a time. At one time, the mother frog lays 1,000 eggs. A jelly-like substance covering these eggs holds all eggs together. So you can see here, this is the jelly-like substance which is holding all the eggs together. A clump of eggs is known as a spawn. A clump of egg is known as a spawn. Only a few survive long enough to become adults. Very few eggs survive to become mature. eggs that survive take 3 to 21 days to hatch. They hatch faster in warm water. Each egg hatches into an embryo. They hatch into an embryo. The egg yolk provides the embryo with food. As we have already discussed about it, the yellow part of the egg provides food to the embryo. After 21 days, the embryo becomes a tadpole. You can see here the embryo becomes a tadpole. It has a long tail and breathes through gills like a fish. There is no ready-made food now and the tadpole has to find its food. Now they have grown up and they have to find their food by themselves. They eat tiny plants called algae that are in their surroundings. This is the food for them. Soon the hind and the front legs, head and lungs begin to form. These are the body parts which starts forming. It is time to go up to the water surface for air. Their tails become longer and they can move more quickly in water. With time, they look less like tadpoles and more like frogs. They shade their skin and lips. The mouth becomes wide, the tails become short, and the legs become long now. Nearly 11 weeks to a few months after the egg is formed, the adult frog takes its place in the food chain. It will now spend most of its time on land. It can stick its tongue out at passing insects and worms to catch them and eat them. So they can start now the hunting part. They search for their food and then they catch the worms and insects also and eat them. Lizard, turtle and snake also reproduce by laying eggs but do not take care of their eggs. Their eggs are warmed by the sun and hatch naturally. Many eggs are usually eaten by other animals and only a few grow into adults. Now here we have something important. Let's see. Honey is 80% sugar and 20% water. In reality, it is easily digested and absorbed in the human body. Medicine powders are sometimes mixed in it and then given to the patient. It also makes the medicine less bitter. No bacteria can survive in it, so it is a very safe food and has been used to cover wounds. Very useful information. So children, this was the life cycle of a frog, how they start growing from an egg and how they become tadpole and then become adult. Now we are going to understand this by using a visual. That's all for today's session. I hope you have understood all the topics. Revise all the topics that is explained in this video. Take care of yourself, keep learning and growing always. Thank you.